Hello viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Science Thursday, we're gonna talk about ESP32. So let's dive right into it. Well, first we have to understand what the heck we are talking about. We are talking about a 32-bit microcontroller. So basically, same way we looked at Arduino, same way we looked at Teensy, this is a kind of third competitor, if you will. So this was made for developers. So it has a bit of a different approach. Technically, it's still a microcontroller. However, how it's packaged and how it's sold to consumer, it's a bit more different. Basically, they intend to. Basically, whoever is buying this is supposed to take basically develop in the module, then buy this module and make your own PCB and then solder it and just ship final products with it. So that is why this comes in a surprisingly compact and complete package. Basically, just you figure out the powers and all that, and it's gonna work. Basically, so to say. So it's made for developers. Now, what is the USP? Basically, a unique selling point of this puppy. It is low powered and it's connected. So basically, low power wise, you can't touch Atmega, basically 32U4 or something like that. Those are ludicrously low power. But this, given how much computation it can do, that's quite awesome. And then it has connectivity. Now connectivity is inbuilt into this puppy, basically from Bluetooth to Wi-Fi. And Bluetooth, it has like surprisingly large range of it, aka from every single band to low energy also, which is like required for low long-term battery powered application. Basically, let's say if you want to build a agricultural sensor which you may have to bury or put somewhere and forget about it, Bluetooth low energy allows you to preserve the battery life for years. So that is why this is like such a unique selling point, and the small package actually becomes quite useful in that scenario. So question is, why the heck the developers built it? Okay, this is what they are selling. Their selling point is low power and connected device. Why the heck anybody would want to buy that? Reality is our world is turning more and more into IoT, aka Internet of Things device, and that part of the market sector is growing. Basically, everything else is shrinking because of smartphone, but Internet of Things are growing. Basically, your locks are becoming Internet of Things. Your tube light is becoming Internet of Things. So Internet of Things is growing. That market is like untapped, so to say. So it's growing, and Arduino is not good enough for it. Now this is very critical part. You have to understand, Arduino does have a offering of very capable boards which are like much higher, 32-bit and all that jazz. But here's the, that's not in public consciousness. You type Arduino, people will think Leonardo, Micro, Pro Micro, or Uno, things of this nature. They do not think of higher offerings, and not to mention the higher offerings that Arduino does have, they are expensive AF. So for many people, flat out, it's like, dude, I can't touch Arduino. Now this offers low power and wireless. Both of them are kind of basically necessary and vital for battery power application, solar power applications, and basically if you don't want to have very large current draw, because even if you're like, hey, thermostat is only consuming 1 watt, imagine it's running 24 into 7 into 365, it's gonna add up. So you would want to have like inherently low power consumption. So that's why there is this new untapped market and they wanted to go into it. So how does this work? Now this is the most satisfying part about this. This is low cost. Now when I say low cost, like technically, Audi also has a car which is low cost alternative, but again, that low cost is like, dude, my house is cheaper than that. So low cost here actually translates to low cost. Now, to give you a context of the price that I'm talking about, basically this is my first completed Arduino project. I'm using Arduino Micro. A little bit more money, I'll end up with this, and this is the 8-bit, and I'll jump to not 16-bit to 32-bit with everything integrated from Wi-Fi to Bluetooth. So on a different level. So when it says low cost, it's truly inherently low cost. It's a low powered SoC, aka system on chip. So you could have used this puppy quite few years ago in mobile phones, but not anymore. But if you want to, if you want to make a mobile phone out of it, you can, technically speaking. So this came from Tensilica X Tenant. They have a whole product series lineup of LX microprocessors. This is the final product of it. So if you want to, let's say you are building thousands of this project and you have to mass produce it, then you can directly go to the company and company will sell you the actual microprocessor. But if you are developing on medium scale, basically Internet of Things device do not sell ludicrously much because there are so many fragmentation in the market. So you maybe like, hey, give me something that is easy to integrate in PCB, and I'll just add some components and voila, done. So in those sort of scenarios, this packaging makes sense, because this is like, hey, just either sell this or sell a complete development mode. Why the heck you are selling this? The idea is you're gonna buy this, get your development sorted in the development was, then you can either extract it or buy 50-60 of these puppy to make your final product. And because PCB manufacturing has gone down in cost surprisingly much, like from Pulseway to maybe JCLB PCB, there are many PCB manufacturers that actually allow surprisingly medium scale PCB cost for affordable price. Basically a few years ago you could not have even thought of that. Like, hey, I'm only gonna make 100 PCB. That was not unheard of. Like, either you make few 100,000 of those, or you don't bother about it. So nowadays that has changed. So this module starts to make much more sense. It still requires a bit of factory. It's not well suited for, let's say, a robotic system, but it's more than good enough. And they have very high level hardware security, because it's an internet of things. Why? Inherently they have cryptographic basically chips that are inherently built into it for making sure encryption, handshakes and all that is secure. But again, that's up to you, how do you code it? Because if you make sure Wi-Fi does not require a password, again, it's not going to do much. It does have a lot of hardware support, so it's not like a leaking door. You can put some serious effort into it, and this puppy will support very advanced level of encryption. So that's another good thing, because you do not want your internet of things to be like exposed to the internet without any firewall. So this does have a very rudimentary, but has something. So if it's directly connected to the internet, you don't have to worry too much about it. Then we come to the speed part of it. Now this is from 160 to 240 megahertz. It's a dual core system, and if you are know code well enough, you can even have one core running at slower speed, another core running at higher speed. It is done in like same in Arduino mobile phones, where you have a few of the high power cores. Let's say 4 cores are like ludicrously high powerful scenarios, and then you have 4 low energy cores. This puppy can do that, so if you know how to do it. So now you may say, hey, 240 megahertz, that's not that fast. Yeah, it's much faster than Arduino is like barely 16 megahertz. What about this puppy? But you have to understand, Teensy can go upwards of 600. So why the heck you would want to have this? Because of the low power. Basically, if you calculate how much energy I'm spending just to, let's say, read 10 sensors. Let's say you have humidity, air direction, air speed and all that. Like, you have 10 sensors, you want to read the data from it and store it into a, let's say, micro SD card, or send it to over Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. How much watt you are spending to do that? Let's say once every hour, like you want to do that for your sensor. How much energy you have? This puppy would be the best in that scenario. It's not gonna compete against, let's say, Teensy, because some people can make actual robot basically I'm saying rocket thrust vectoring system using Teensy. Teensy is that powerful, but this is not meant for that. So this is meant for IoT things, and it's fine-tuned for that only. So 160 megahertz to 240 megahertz, that's more than enough. That's like sufficiently enough for even light bulbs, and to like automating your whole home can be done on this. So you will not have to worry about, hey, this is underpowered. That will not happen. So which one should you buy? Now this is a bit different. In Teensy, I could say with some confidence, hey, just if you are starting out, go with the biggest one. In Arduino, I'm pretty sure that if you want to start out, like this is your first project that you are doing and your first time putting your money down, I would urge you to go with Arduino Micro. Why? Because it's a USB inherent device. Basically, it can act as a USB human interface device. So it will act as a keyboard, mouse, gamepad, whatever you want to do. Basically, computer to your microcontroller, they will not need a bridge interface where it is gonna take the USB, convert into serial, and then back and forth. That will not be needed. So it was quite amazing for that. And the size of it is actually allows you to, well, again, I actually made it into a full product. Now again, yeah, this is my first prototype, second, third 3D printer and all that. Then it will be like completely complete. But this is a button box that I made out of it. So I can be reasonably confident for Arduino. Start with this. For Teensy, go with the biggest one you can buy. This puppy, it's completely different because of the module packaging that there are like hundreds of different. You have one variety which is made for with a webcam in mind. So either you can make it as a webcam. Some people have used it into making into time-lapse camera, because again, time-lapse cameras are a low volume product. They are ludicrously expensive, and quality-wise, they are not that good. But again, you do not want to put your DSLR into some scenario where somebody can steal it. So people want to use this. It's small, easy to consign, and low power enough that you can actually have a low level solar panel and take care of it. So a lot of people are using that. There are systems that are so amazing. The board layout is done so well that you have a lithium ion battery charger, an OLED screen, all of that. So basically just connect the sensor and you're done for it. So a lot of packaging options are there. Then you have something bare bones offered from SparkFun. You have something that is a bit more fine-tuned for makers, that is from VMEMS. A lot of option here. So you have to know what you are doing. This is not more basically, you have to know what you want, then you have to filter out what you which options fulfills your need, and then you have to buy it. So it's a bit different. It's not as a black and white, just go and buy this. You have to know what you're doing. So are there cons to this system? Because it has Internet of Things, it's small, low power, wireless and all that. Like, it has a lot of good is there any consequence? The reality is it's a very new system now. When I mean new, as in like 2017 and all that, but still compared to Arduino, compared to even Teensy, it's not that basically experience. Consequence of that, code base is the issue. If you know coding, if you, as in like you truly know, I'm not talking about copy pasting code, if you know truly code, that will not be an issue. But if you're like, hey, I'm gonna use this OLED display, let's just say, and that code compiling is not done, you have to do it. So that's an inherent issue. Now again, in the early days that was a big issue, but brick by brick, because big companies are supporting it, it's like a much more full-fledged now. But you have to be mindful of it. So before, if you start a project on this, I would urge you, either be damn confident in your own coding skill, or be like, hey, I'm gonna buy this, let's make sure it has the required libraries for it or not. You have to be mindful of that. Then even though the price to performance ratio is quite awesome, I told you, like compared to 8-bit, I'm getting 32-bit on the same price, is still not best suited for beginners. Basically, if you want to start out, hey, like I want to understand this world of programming and electronics, I would never ask you to touch this, because this has a very high probability of overwhelming you. So Arduino still has that you know, true time tested kind of experience to it. So it does have some consequences. It's not suited for basically beginners, so to say. It's more of an intermediate. You have to know what you're doing before you buy it. So this was my presentation on this third competitor. I hope you liked it, learn from it. In that case, please click the like button, share it amongst your friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike, press it twice to show me actual disappointment, and please leave a comment, because I try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free, and as always, thanks for watching.